see here. Okay, headphones are good. We got 1 or 2 minutes here before we go live, folks. We're just getting everything set here. I got a couple of screens that I'm getting open here, and I'm also sharing this presentation, so I'll be with y'all in one moment here. Thank you for joining me so far for the couple people that we've had log in. It's going to be an exciting Coaches on Couches with Coffee today, Wednesday, April the 8th. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Looks like we have a comment. Megan, volume isn't working. Oh, no. Let's see if that's a headphone issue. Okay. You might want to make sure your volume's on there, Megan. I want to make sure that that is set up. I just did a check here to make sure that everything on my end as far as the audio and the video is going through the right way. So we should be all ready to go here briefly with our Wednesday, April the 8th, Coaches on Couches with Coffee presentation here. We got a couple people joining us live. I'm also sharing the presentation on my page as well, my personal page, and then I am also posting about it simultaneously. And then I got a computer over here with the NBA page open so I can make sure that I'm responding back to any comments. So we are, it's like a newsroom in here. We're ready to go, and it's going to be exciting. You can hear me? Perfect. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I will go through and continue to get my stuff set up here. And once we get an okay, go ahead, then I will get started. Just for anyone joining us, for the few folks we have joining us here so far, my name's Matt Peters. I'm obviously with Weedman of Bucks County here in Newtown. We're going to just all hang out here for a brief moment, and then we're going to proceed with our talk for today. And our talk is going to be, number one, we're going to go over spring lawn and garden tips. We're going to go over lawn do's and lawn don'ts for your lawn, not just in the spring, but in general. But we're also going to go over why, your lawn and your landscape is an important part of, of the environment and why it is essential. So excellent. Looks like we got a couple of other folks joining us here, which is awesome. So if anyone who's joining us, I would suggest sharing this on your page. Worst case scenario is somebody just scrolls right past it. Best case scenario, someone gets some valuable information about their lawn. Okay, so let's see here. All right, so I do have the NBA page open here. So with that, I'm ready to go. And I want to make sure that I have that maximized on my screen so I could read comments. Okay, perfect. All right. Yes, we do have a comment there from the Newtown Business Association. Join us over at Newtown Business Association and ask questions there. I have that screen open over there just to read questions and respond back to questions. So that way this is interactive and informative as well. And to any of the rest of you joining us, I'll get started here. I don't want to leave most people waiting for too long. If you have been sitting here and dealing with me as I get my computer screens all set up, my name, once again, for any of you paying attention or not paying attention, is Matt Peters, and I am with Weedman Lawn Care of Bucks County here in Newtown, Pennsylvania. Weedman is a franchise. It's actually North America's largest franchise lawn care service, and I'm the franchisee for the Bucks County area. To give you a little bit of my background, I've been with Weedman for a long time now, since I was 16 actually. I just turned 29 this year. I was actually with them since I was 16, and I started as a neighborhood canvasser, or whatever you'd like to call it, a customer outreach representative. And I worked my way up throughout a couple of other offices for 8 years, and now I'm in my 5th year out here in Bucks County. Our first was 2016. So we've been moving along. So my topic today is going to be, number one, we're going over spring lawn and garden tips. We're also going over lawn do's and lawn don'ts. Those are very important. The lawn do's and lawn don'ts are some of probably the biggest and most cost savings things I'm going to impart on you today as far as wisdom goes, because there's a lot of things that you're going to need to do for your lawn. If we have any new homeowners, if we have any new, I forgot. Dan, since you're joining us, we have our coffee here. We have our no couch, obviously. I'm in a chair. We do have coffee as well, because I did say I was going to have coffee. So I have coffee and I have tea. I'm going with the tea first because I've been drinking coffee all morning. But like I was saying, some of the lawn do's and lawn don'ts are going to be the biggest cost savings things out there. There's a lot of things that you need to do for your lawn. Any new homeowners, any new people who have just moved into a home, or maybe you've been an existing homeowner and you've been there for 10, 20, 30 plus years and you're just getting into lawn maintenance. It's something that it can be overwhelming. There's just so much to do for your property, and there's so many different avenues, and there's so many different service providers that can provide these things for you. So there's a lot of information going on out there. Plus, there's a large do-it-yourself market, and there's a large segment of the population of people who will do everything themselves: lawn care, landscape, hardscape work. They'll cut their own grass. They'll put down their own fertilizer and weed control. They're very self-reliant in that. But at the same time, a lot of people will have a service come out and do them. So you could certainly reach out to a local service provider if you have any other questions. There's forums you could look up on Google or on your local Department of Agriculture Extension website. But as far as what we're talking about here, we're going to go over the basics in terms of your lawn, since that's our area of expertise. We take care of stuff like fertilizer and weed control. So I'm going to start with the lawn. We'll touch on some garden things, and then we'll move out from there. So as far as lawns go, obviously everyone should be familiar with what a lawn is by now. Whether you're a homeowner or not, you probably are familiar with a lawn. A lawn is a patch of grass around your house. It actually goes back to way back in time to, I think, the Renaissance period was when lawns started to become popular, but nothing in the way that they are now. Nothing in the way that they are now. They've come a long way, and they do have a very long-standing tradition in terms of it being an extension of your property. It's, your house is your castle, to bring it back to Renaissance and medieval times. So the area around your house is going to be an extension of that. So the biggest thing to keep in mind is you want your lawn and you want your outside of your house to look as good as the inside. When and if you ever are planning on selling your house, what's the first thing that any prospective buyer is going to see right when they drive up, or even before they drive up? When they look at the pictures on Zillow or on Trulia or on Keller Williams, on Dave Marcola's listing. Dave, great talk earlier in the Coaches on Couches with Coffee series. Great way to lead that off. As far as that goes, and if you have a prospective buyer coming up to your house, the first thing they're going to see is the outside of your property and your lawn. I know personally, when I look at a home listing, if the first picture I see is a picture of the kitchen or a picture of the bathroom or an interior picture of the house, then I know that the exterior is nothing to write home about. And a lot of times I don't even click on those links. I'm a good example of someone who's in the market for a house. If I see a kitchen first, I usually don't click on those links. I don't look at those houses. I'll look at a house that has a nice looking outside first, and then I'll take a look at the inside. Because it's an outward extension of how well is the inside of the house maintained as well. If the lawn is not in good shape And if the landscape around the property is not in good shape, then realistically, how well were they caring for the inside of the property as well? How often did they really deep clean the carpets? It's like buying a used car. You never really know, even if you get a Carfax, you never really know how the person, before that, took care of the car. If they took it on a 3,000 mile interval routine to get the oil change, it's the same thing with a lawn. With a house, there's a lot of teeny tiny little things that, yes, the home inspection is very, very thorough. It's going to tell you everything you need to know, but at the same time, you have to look at certain things. You have to, go with your gut. You have to indulge your inner David Lee Roth, and to get sidetracked on that for a minute, because this whole thing's going to be getting sidetracked, but then weaving it back into the storyline to keep you interested and to keep you watching. One of the things David Lee Roth would do when he was part of Van Halen is he would have a very specific demand from the concert venues. When they would come into town, they had a lot of very sophisticated pyrotechnic and stage pieces that he needed to make sure were set up properly. So he did something along the lines of saying that he wanted a bowl in his dressing room with no blue M&Ms, or with only blue M&Ms, or whatever the deal was, or whatever the color was. And he knew that if he went into that dressing room and he saw those M&Ms in the dish there, he knew that a lot of other things were probably not going to have been done right. When they go into that venue. So it's the same general idea. You want your lawn to look good because it's the first thing that someone sees. If someone does not see a good-looking lawn when they're coming to buy your house, and your house is one of the largest investments you're going to make in your entire life, then what's to stop them from just continuing driving and not even getting out of the car? So, one of the main things you need to do with your house and with your lawn in the springtime is you need to make sure that it's obviously cleaned up from the fall. That's something that definitely should have been done last fall, but if you haven't had time to do it, if it fell off your priorities list, then you can still get this done, and you can still find time to do this in the springtime. And as far as what we're doing, we don't do any sort of lawn cleanup. We don't do the landscaping services. So that would be something where you can do that on your own. You can find someone to take care of that for you. There's a lot of avenues in terms of that. You want to get obviously any of the old leaves off of your property. Either mulch them back into the soil if there's not many, or if there's a large amount of leaves, rake them up. They really should have been up a long time ago, because those leaves, when they sit on your property over time, they're going to smother the grass. Same thing if anyone ever has put out any holiday decorations for any one of the holidays or any sort of lawn display. It smothers the grass out eventually, sooner or later. And then when the grass is smothered out, then it dies, and it needs to be reseeded, and it needs to be replaced. And that costs money, and that costs time, and that's not easy. So you want to maintain your lawn. A lawn is, it's a lot of work that goes into a lawn. A lot of work goes into maintaining a lawn, and a lot of work goes into making sure that the lawn is weed free and green. It's not just a simple Ron Popeil set it and forget it grill kind of thing where you just do one thing and the lawn's perfect forever. No, it's something where when you're taking care of the lawn, you have to follow a very specific regimen of services and applications, and you need to make sure you're cutting your lawn at a certain height, at a certain depth of certain sharpness of a mower blade. And with that, when you're cutting your lawn properly, what that's going to lead to is that's going to lead to a healthy grass plant. And a healthy grass plant is what you want to achieve, because you want however many hundreds of thousands or however many millions or billions of grass plants you'll have on your property to be as healthy as possible, because that's what you want to encourage the growth of. That's what you're encouraging growth of in your lawn. It's a bunch of tiny little grass plants. But the issue is, with those grass plants, they're going to look great. They're what you want in your lawn. That's what's desirable in a lawn. But the issue is there are opportunistic weeds and weed grasses that will invade your lawn and that will, cause issues. And as far as those issues go, Those weeds will steal air, water, and nutrients out from the desirable grass. So you need to make sure that you're controlling those weeds and that you're encouraging growth of desirable grass plants. And by controlling those weeds, that's simple. You just put down a weed control. That's the first step. But to make sure more weeds don't come back, you have to continue with proper cultural practices of your lawn. You need to regularly aerate it. You need to seed it. It's a very complex topic to go into, and with how many ins and outs there are in this, I could get very sidetracked on any one of these topics and do a half an hour presentation on each one of those topics alone. And it's obviously something that I'm very passionate about, or else I wouldn't have agreed to talk to you for 30 minutes here. And I'd love to to do this again. So hopefully I'll be able to get back into the schedule for this. If anyone else wants to get into the schedule for this, you can see Denise, or you could see Dan, or you could see Dave, or anyone who's on the planning and scheduling committee as far as these events go. These are going to be every day. So we have events coming up tomorrow and moving forward every single day at this time. So definitely stay tuned for that. Back to what we were talking about, controlling weeds. So you control the weeds, proper cultural practices, limit them from coming back. That just means cutting the grass properly at the right height. So going back to what I said, sharp mower blade at the right height, 3 inches is the magical number in terms of you never want your grass to be below 3 inches, meaning when you cut it, you're cutting it down from starting at 4 down to 3 inches. You never want to remove more than 1/3 of the grass blade at a time either when you're cutting the lawn. If you do that, and if you remove more than 1/3 of the grass blade at a time, what you're going to do is you're going to damage the plant. You're going to stress that plant out. You're going to stress the grass plant out. It's like, you get your arm chopped off, you're going to go in the shock. Same general concept, a lot less gruesome, or maybe it is very gruesome. To the grass, it's very gruesome. Don't do that. They didn't do anything to you. Don't hurt them like that. But yeah, as far as the grass goes, the higher you keep your grass, the deeper the roots are going to grow into the soil. As above, so below with this. So if you regularly cut your grass short, or if your landscaper regularly cuts your grass short, what kind of root system will you have? I can't hear anyone, and I don't see anyone sounding off on this, so you will have a short and a shallow root system. A short and a shallow root system will get bullied out of water and nutrients by more opportunistic plants, whether they be weeds or just other grass plants. So you need to encourage a healthy grass plant by cutting the lawn properly, by fertilizing with the right nutrients, nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, iron, encouraging growth of the grass at a healthy, mowing height with a sharp mower blade so it's a clean cut. There's a lot of simple things that, I take them as very matter-of-fact things. So I'm just breezing through all this stuff when I talk about this, because this is what I've been talking about, and this is what I've been doing. I've been eating, sleeping, and breathing and drinking and whatever this, I've been breathing whatever lawn care for going on 13 years now. So it's something where I know this stuff inside and out, as part of, what I do with, obviously, the education I've gotten through the franchise system at Weedman. There's additional education I've done on my own that I have to do through the State Department of Agriculture that I choose to do because I'm an information sponge. So there's a lot of other stuff that I like to look into and research in terms of, just lawn care and landscape, lawn care and landscape things. Looks like we have a few people joining us in the last couple minutes. I didn't get to call you out by name, but hello and thank you for joining us here. Ask any questions. If anyone has any questions on this, you don't have to just, sit here and listen to me talk the whole time. You can ask questions. If you have anything you want me to cover, ask a question. I'll answer it in a hopefully not very long-winded manner. I'll try. But as far as what we're talking about, fertilizer and weed control for your lawn, it's the basic bare minimum. We mentioned cutting your lawn at the proper height, cutting with a sharp mower blade. Another thing you don't want to do, like I said earlier, limiting any sort of, lawn decorations or anything that's going to smother your lawn, keeping leaves off the property as much as possible, as frequently as possible. Also, for anyone who has kids, keep the kids' toys off the lawns as much as possible. Bikes, scooters, baseball tees, anything like that. It's all well and good, but it's, here's a great thing. It's a chore for them. It's a way to teach them responsibility, and it's a way to make your lawn look better. Have them remove those toys from the lawn when they're done playing with them. That's not me telling you how to be a better parent. That's me advising you how you could have a better looking lawn. No, I say that because we've come out to lawns sometimes, and we've come out to a property, and there's a bike in the lawn, and the grass is dead underneath the bike because it sat there for so long. And it's one of those things where I know, because I treat every single property when I'm on it as if it were my own, as do all my employees. I train them on how to treat each and every property as if it's our own. I know if I'm out there and if there's a bike on my backyard and I'm doing everything I got to do to make sure it's taken care of and the grass is dead, I'd be pretty ticked off. So it's something that could be easily avoidable, and it's something that could help your lawn in the long run. Plus, in that area, even if it doesn't get smothered out and died, what's going to happen is it's going to weaken the grass, and then weeds are going to pop in. Just like kind of like if you have a weakened immune system, then opportunistic diseases or bacteria or viruses or whatever can invade and compromise your immune system and hurt your body. Same thing with weeds or lawn diseases in your lawn. That's one of the reasons why when we are doing our applications, we recommend, or when any lawn care service does their applications, they recommend a season-long program. That's one of the other big lawn do's that we're going to go over, lawn do's, lawn don'ts. One of the big lawn do's, continue with the program season-long. Whether you do it yourself, whether you have a service, I'm not going to preach to you on what to do on that. But you need to have your lawn treated the whole year. You don't just take an antibiotic and then stop taking it. You don't just, do 2 sets at the gym and then stop. You don't, you don't start cooking something and then just leave it there and walk out of the room. You need to continue with it. It's the same as anything else. You don't pick up a hobby and then just spend a bunch of time learning how to play an instrument or learning how to do whatever and then just leave it. You have to continue with the lawn care. It's like anything else in life. You get out what you put in. And it's something where that's where there's a good, real therapeutic thing to lawn care. You get out what you put in, and if you put in effort and if you put in the hard work, you're going to reap the benefits of it. A nice looking outside of your house, a nice looking lawn and garden. I think I do have a question here, so I'm going to look at this question. What is the best grass for this area? Does that depend on sun/exposure and drainage? So I'm going to answer the second part of your question first. That entirely depends on sun exposure and drainage, Denise. Great question. And, the first thing we'll go over is we'll call it individual circumstances kind of question. So individual circumstances kind of questions, meaning if you have a very sunny lawn and you're on a hill, that would be completely different than if you have a shade lawn and it's a flat lawn, or if you're deep in the woods, or if you got sun and shade, or depending on how much water your property can get. So that's something where I would say consult an expert on specifically what type of grass would be best for your lawn. But usually the best type of grass, if you want to just cover most of your bases for a sun lawn, partial sun or full sun, it's going to be tall fescue. Tall fescue, Tallfescue. Tall fescue is a grass type. It's thicker bladed grass, very dark green color. It has a lower nitrogen requirement than any other grass type. It has a lower water requirement than any other grass type, meaning it's not high maintenance. It's not as high maintenance. And it retains its green color in the summer much better than any other grass type. That's something that it can grow well in the shade, but it's best for the sun. So short of zoysia grass, that's going to be your best bet in terms of, sun grass is going to be hardy and healthy. Some people don't like it because it has a little bit of a wider blade, but my advice is to figure out a way to learn to love it on that, because it's so much better than Kentucky bluegrass. It's so much better than perennial ryegrass. It's much less susceptible to disease. It's much less susceptible to insect issues. And you're less likely to have other things like red thread that plagues other diseases. There's so many reasons why you want to go with tall fescue. And then also another thing about seeding. Ooh, that's a good topic, Denise. I'm going to go off on a jag about seeding. This is both a lawn do and don't that I wanted to cover later, and I'm going to go over it now. We're going to do it now. We got, how much time do we got? Oh, I got 7 minutes left. Oh, no, I talk a lot. So as far as a good lawn do and don't, as far as seeding goes, don't seed in the spring. Try not to seed in the spring. Do not seed in the spring. If you've already seeded in the spring, if you were planning on seeding in the spring, try to wait until the fall to do it. If at all possible, If you seed in the spring, the issue you're going to run into, it's going to run you issues with your pre-emergent timing with your crabgrass pre-emergent, but it's also going to run you issues even if you time everything out possibly, exactly like it's supposed to happen. The issue you're going to run into is over the summer, you're going to have brand new baby grass that is going into the most stressful time on the lawn. Summer's the most stressful time on the lawn. It's harder to exercise outside. It's harder to work outside. You don't want to, leave your pet outside in the heat or your kid or the elderly. Your lawn is a living organism that is sensitive to heat and is sensitive to lack of rain. So you have to consider that. You have to be mindful of that as well. It's not just something where, it's doing whatever. They're not trees. They're not something where they could just weather anything. They're a lot more sensitive than that, but they have a lot more, benefit and a lot more of a greater, potential to, it's a lot more of a scalable thing in terms of even if you're just looking at green, ground cover to turn carbon dioxide into oxygen. I didn't even get into all that. That's another thing for another day, how a lawn can reduce your carbon footprint. Even if you factor in everything, the fertilizer, the weed control, all that stuff, and the carbon usage to cut the property and to maintain it, it still lowers your carbon footprint, and it still filters out air pollution, and still filters out water pollution before it goes down to groundwater levels. A healthy, well-maintained lawn is one of the best things that you could do for the environment. It's one of the best things you could do for groundwater, for your pets, for your kids. It's a safe place for them to play. But anyway, seeding. Don't do seeding in the spring. Do it in the fall, September, October time. You got plenty of time to plan for that. I could give you advice on that in between now and then if you have any questions on seeding. But another thing that people do, and this is a big lawn don't for seeding, is they don't buy enough. They think that they're going to get away with a 3 or 5 pound bag. A lot of times when homeowners buy their own seed, they're buying a couple of brands. I'm not promoting these brands. I'm just mentioning them. I'll do it this way. One starts with an S, one starts with a P. You could buy them at, garden centers. Big brands. You probably know who these people are. Both of them are coated seeds. Coated seeds meaning 40 to 60% of the weight by volume is what they call a water smart or like a seed smart coating, meaning if you go and you buy a 20-pound bag of grass seed, around 10 pounds of that is that water smart coating, meaning you're kind of getting you're getting half of what you think you're getting, so you're getting much less grass seed than you're actually getting. So read the label, and sometimes people don't, and if they do, they don't read it that same obsessive, nuts level that I'll read it at. So if you have any questions on any of this stuff, fact check it with me. We're very active on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, TikTok, everything. So you could get at us if you have any questions on this. You could find out how to talk to us on this, and I'll make sure I get an answer for you. I'll figure it out for you, and I'll give you the right answer on that and get you steered in the right direction, whether you're a customer or not. I just want to make sure that you're moving in the right direction and your lawn looks better. And as far as another big lawn do for this year is get your crabgrass pre-emergent down. That's going to prevent a lot of issues. Crabgrass pre-emergent, it's like a laminate for a sheet of paper. It stops crabgrass seeds from germinating, therefore it solves a lot of those issues. With your crabgrass pre-emergent, you want to take care of your weeds. You're probably already seeing, or you will be seeing, dandelions soon. Get a weed control down in the springtime. I already mentioned earlier, get your spring cleanup done. Get your, check the lawnmower. Make sure that the lawnmower is operational. If you don't have a lawnmower, contact the lawn mowing service or price out lawnmowers. You're going to need to start cutting your lawn very, very soon. So as far as that goes, price one out. If you do cut it, try and keep your mower on the highest setting. Like I said earlier, that's going to encourage a deeper root system. If you have a lawn care service, measure the lawn after they cut it. Get a ruler out. Be that person and go out and measure it. If it's shorter than 3 inches, tell them to raise the decks, and tell them again, and tell them again, and tell them again, and tell them again until they do it. It's that important. It is that important. That is the number one thing that I have to talk to customers about, and it sounds very trivial, and some people kind of just throw it out as, who cares? I've always cut my grass at this height. It's not like that. Agronomic science and, however many turf science colleges that talk about the importance of a high mowing height and how that in and of itself will decrease the amount of weeds you have. And that in and of itself will decrease the amount of insect and disease issues you have. And that in and of itself will improve the issue of your lawn overall. It's one of those things where why not cut the lawn at a higher height? It's not going to cost you anything extra. And in fact, it'll probably cost you less because you're going to be spending less on grass seed. Because if you cut your grass short what's going to happen is the grass is going to get stressed over the summer. Weeds are going to invade. They're going to get a foothold. They're going to drop seeds. Those seeds are going to hang out for the next year, and it's just going to continue. Everyone has probably gotten a great education in epidemiology over the last few weeks with the coronavirus going around. Think of weeds and think of certain lawn diseases in a similar way, in that they can be spread to your lawn by an outside source. They could be spread to your lawn by an animal, a deer, a bird, a lawnmower. If somebody comes to cut your lawn, and they just cut a field with a lot of weeds in it, they can be tracked in by foot. They could blow in from a neighboring property. They could creep in from a neighboring property. They're very invasive. They're opportunistic, and there's hundreds of different types of weeds that will grow in your lawn. So, that's why you need to constantly be managing your property. You need to constantly be cutting your property at the right height. And we're almost out of time here. We started a couple minutes late, so I'll end here in about 2 minutes, and then we'll stop it at that. You need to make sure that you're, communicating with your lawn care service provider. Whoever it is, doesn't matter who it is. Get someone that, if you're not able to do this yourself, if you're not able or not comfortable or not knowledgeable enough to do this yourself, seek out a service provider to do these things for you. It is something where most are still operating, although they might have some different procedures because of coronavirus. Like, for example, we're not leaving invoices at the front door. We're not doing our canvassing anymore. There's some other changes that we've made, essential personnel into the building only, gloves, all kinds of different changes we've had to make. There's a lot of other changes that, certain businesses have had to make during this, and it's something where overall we're very fortunate that we're still able to be here talking to you during this. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Like I said, tomorrow's Thursday, I believe. Yes, tomorrow's Thursday. The days run together here. Now that we're in a quarantine day. What we're doing is we're doing this every single day. So the Coaches on Couches with Coaches on Couches with Coffee is a daily series. So yesterday you probably saw Denise's presentation from Bucks County Community College. You saw James on Monday from Steam Powered Marketing. Me, Weed Man. Hopefully your favorite one of the week so far. No, you don't have to answer that. That's fine. Tomorrow, the 9th, Joe D'Antone, Blogging 101. D'Antone Creative, to blog or not to blog. On April 10th, Prospecting for Business via LinkedIn with Dan Petty of Edward Jones Investments. And all of these folks that have stepped up in the past week are all on the planning committee, myself included. And there's Kelsey went last week. Dave Marcola went last week as well. They're also on the planning committee as well. Who else on the planning committee? Matt from Apex, also on the planning committee as well. I think that might be everybody. If I'm leaving anybody out, somebody quick comment so I don't feel like an idiot for leaving you out. But any of these people are great resources if you want to learn more about the emerging leaders, if you want to learn more about how you can become a speaker for this. Reach out to any one of them specifically. First and foremost, reach out to Denise. I believe she was the point of contact on the email that went out. Tune in, share the links, tell someone about it. We want to have thousands of people watching this, because obviously everyone has nowhere else to go to watch it. I'm going to check for any quick questions here. Let's see. We have. When do you know if your lawn can be saved or if you should just start over? The lawn can always be saved, Will Dennis. The lawn can always be saved. I would always say you never have to go the 100% nuclear option. You could spend thousands of dollars and just go the nuclear option and just tear it down, or you could progressively work on it. Same thing. You can. I like to compare a lawn with exercise. You can go and exercise and eat right and follow a good specific regimen from a personal trainer and a nutritionist, or you could get plastic surgery and a tummy tuck and everything, and you can spend a lot more money up front, and there's no guarantee it's going to work. Same general idea. This is going to instill the right habits and the right things are being done on your property, so you're going to encourage long-term success instead of just that quick get-rich scheme and dropping thousands of dollars on new sod, new soil, and a whole new look on your lawn that if the right things aren't done after the fact, the aftercare is very important. Aftercare for your lawn, even after you seed or after you do anything like that, is very important. You don't want to spend thousands of dollars and then just have it all go kaput because it's not taken care of properly. So if you have any other questions, see me.
I don't want to use up too much of the time here. It was a great thing to be able to talk to everybody. I had a great time talking to everybody. I want to get back on this again soon. I'd love to talk to you all more, but I will sign off here. I'll wave back to everybody. Ta-ta for now. That is my time. If there's any questions, I'll stay here to answer any questions, I guess, and I guess we'll sign out off of the NBA page. I don't know exactly how that sign out procedure is going to go, but I'll at least linger here for a moment to see if there's any other questions, and then I will sign out. Okay, let's see. We had a couple other people join here. Okay, yeah, no, I guess I'm going to keep talking. I'll keep talking until someone tells me to stop, until someone starts commenting, "Stop talking, Matt." I'll keep talking. We'll go for an hour. We'll go for 2 hours. We'll go for 3, 4 maybe. I might need some more coffee for the 4th hour, but limestone, that's another important thing for your lawn. Limestone is calcium and magnesium in most cases, or just calcium in other cases. There's calcitic and then there's dolomitic limestone. Difference between whether or not it has magnesium in it. Calcitic is calcium only, dolomitic is calcium and magnesium for the lawn. Those are what are called micronutrients for your soil. Nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, those are some of the other nutrients for your soil. Just like a human body has macronutrients and micronutrients. A lawn, surprisingly, has macronutrients and micronutrients. They're just needed at much different amounts. They're different. It's completely different, obviously. And a lawn has a different feeding cycle. For example, did you know that we're now in the lawn's natural reproductive cycle? That's why the grass is going to grow so much over the next couple months. The grass is aggressively trying to grow and shoot a seed pod up and reproduce. So it's not because of any fertilizer you're putting down. It's partially because of the rain. But it's mainly because of the fact that the grass is trying to shoot up and drop that seed. Most living organisms have a strong desire to reproduce. Grass is the same thing. Weeds are even more so. Weeds are even more aggressive in the way that they reproduce. So as far as weeds go, they'll drop seeds. They'll aggressively vine into other parts of the lawn. They'll go anywhere, anytime, any place. Weeds are crazy. They'll do that. So you need to make sure that you're encouraging them not to do that. You need to give them some more structure. You need to stop that. Stop the weeds from doing that. Tell them to back off a little bit. And do that by encouraging the proper cultural practices. Make sure your lawn is sufficient in nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, and all the other nutrients I'd mentioned, iron and magnesium and calcium. And there's some other ones like copper and like small, tiny, teeny tiny ones that if you're using the right fertilizer, if you're using something that contains organic matter in it, such as organic biosolids or poultry manure, something that our fertilizer may contain, our proprietary fertilizer. I will not talk about that. As far as what we're doing, or what any lawn care service is doing, if they're using the right fertilizer and if they're feeding the plant right, and if they're encouraging the right conditions in the soil, then you're going to set yourself up for success. If you're doing everything synthetic, you're going to get synthetic success, and it's going to be pretty evident. So limestone is another thing. Granular fertilizer over liquid fertilizer. Never use liquid fertilizer ever. Just it's that simple. Never use liquid fertilizer for a residential lawn. There's no reason why you really need to or ever would be in a position where you'd have to. Granular is so much better for the environment. It's so much better for the environment than liquid fertilizer. Better for the plant overall. Just way better. Never accept liquid fertilizer if you can, please. Don't cut it too short. I already said that. As far as your garden goes, I didn't touch too much on the garden. Main thing, weeds are going to grow in your lawn. They're going to grow in your garden too. So if the weeds grow in your garden, then you have to control them. You have to either rip them out or you have to spray them with an herbicide. I would recommend spraying with an herbicide because ripping them out doesn't guarantee control. Ripping them out just means you're ripping part of the plant out. It doesn't kill the entire plant. That's where an herbicide comes in, and that's where you got to bite the bullet and use a weed control for it. It's the only way you're going to control it. In terms of preventing more from coming back, that's where preventative measures come in. Prevention versus the cure and all that kind of stuff. A pound of prevention versus a ton of cure. Whatever the saying is, I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it's the same thing for your lawn. If you put down enough, or your garden and your mulch bed, if you put down enough mulch, and 3 inches of mulch is the key, then that's going to suppress weed growth in your beds. And then you won't have to be out there every weekend pulling weeds out. So you could put mulch down, you could put rock down, you put something down. You get those weed barriers. That's one thing. That's. Oh, I got a call here. Hold, please.
Hello?
Oh, no. Somebody's calling me. I don't know. Anywho, so that's the other thing. Stone or mulch to prevent weeds from growing in your beds. When they do come up, weed control, try not to pull them. Some weeds, when you pull them, you're actually dropping and dislodging more seeds. That's another reason why you never want to pull weeds. Some weeds, that's exactly how they reproduce. There's certain weeds that can produce thousands or hundreds of seeds per weed. That's what they do. Organisms live to reproduce. I just said that a couple minutes ago about weeds. If you were paying attention, hopefully you were. With that, if you rip those weeds out, you're going to drop however many hundreds of seeds down there. Those seeds are going to get into the soil. They're going to hang out there and chill. They could hang out for 3-5 years in some cases. Seeds can maintain dormancy. So that's going to mean that 3 years from now, you're going to have weeds from some weed you pulled out in 2020, and it's one of those weird like butterfly effect things, and it's one of those things where no one probably ever thought lawn care would be like that. They're just thinking, it's plants, it's Mother Nature, whatever. But no, if you follow that kind of logic, it's like I said, going back to an epidemiology base or anything like that. Looks like we're on a call-in show now. So, hello caller, you're on the air.
When you're gonna stop.
I put out a call. I'm ready to stop whenever. Would I just hit finish on my thing?
Yep, that's how you do it.
Alrighty. I'm being told I have to stop. I'm being given the hook, or if you remember the Gong Show, I'm getting my gong. So I'll see you next time. Tune in tomorrow. NBA Emerging Leaders. Bye bye. Thank you. Thank you for listening to me.